Okay, it's my pleasure to call to order the Tiburon Town Council Diversity Inclusion Task Force for May 10th. If you could take the roll, Lee, we would certainly appreciate it.
Councilmember and Chair Thier.
Here.
Councilmember Wellner is absent. Vice Mayor Fredericks.
Here.
And Mayor Ryan is absent. And the at-large members, Karen Carrera is absent. Annette Harris.
Here.
Ruben Kalra. Here. Nushin Latour.
Here.
Tina Shaw Pikeday.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So we are now going to start with any public comment for items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any? Anyone online? I'm not seeing anyone in person at the moment. Oh, that's right. Never mind. Okay, moving right along. We have a few action items. The first is Jewish American Heritage Month resolution. So I think, I think everyone knows that May is Jewish American Heritage Month. And we have supplied a resolution. And what I'll do is I will read the last three whereases. Whereas we celebrate the rich and diverse heritage of the Jewish American community, including those who live, work, and play in Tiburon. And whereas we recognize Jewish American commitment to civic engagement and how Tiburon has been enriched by local Jewish institutions and synagogues, therefore be it resolved that the Diversity Inclusion Task Force of the Town of Tiburon hereby declares the month of May as Jewish American Heritage Month in appreciation of the achievements and contributions made by members of the Jewish community, and calls upon all residents to celebrate Jewish Americans who have woven the fabric of our country and community, and supports opportunities to learn more about Jewish American history and culture. Therefore be it resolved that Tiburon will continue efforts to confront anti-Semitism and other forms of hate impacting the Jewish community, support local education about the diversity of our Jewish American community, and integrate Jewish American culture into future program activities and ceremonies throughout the year. So we are offering the motion as part of Jewish American Heritage Month. And I see Karen has joined us. Welcome, Karen. We are on the first item of the agenda.
Can you take questions?
Yes.
Okay. I think this is a great idea. I'm glad that it's being put forward. And I just have a curiosity around the fact that we're also celebrating Asian Heritage Month this month of May, and how we might consider recognizing other similar celebrations.
I think that would be fantastic. And we can agendize it, after the month. This will probably also go as a town council resolution. So we could do a resolution for that at the next meeting and also at the council.
Thank you.
So I think we do need a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll move it.
I'll motion.
Okay. So I'll take Councilmember Fredericks as moving it, and I think Ruben Kalra was the second, I think.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Public comment does have to be open to the resolution, so if we can do that, and then you can take a vote.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we will now take public comment on the resolution. I don't see anyone offering public comment at the moment. So I do believe we have a motion that's been seconded, and it would be great to have a vote.
Do we need a roll call here?
I think we do.
We don't.
We don't?
No.
Okay. Well, let's ask our town attorney.
Sorry, what was there?
Do we need a roll call vote for this, or can we just do it by ayes?
Ayes is fine.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, so that passes. That's fantastic. And now we are going to the police captain interview panel. And I believe Captain Jean is going to speak. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure being here tonight. What we are doing on Tuesday, May 16th, is interviewing 5 candidates for the captain's position, which I held for a few months and then became chief. We are looking forward to holding this process. We have an internal candidate and some external candidates from the Bay Area. We are looking for one member from the task force to serve on the panel, and we would love to have someone who's here tonight serve on that panel. Do I have any volunteers?
Okay, do we have volunteers? I see Karen has a hand up. Is there anyone else who would like to do this?
What's the date?
The date.
The day is May 16th, next Tuesday, and it runs from 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 p.m.
Okay. Would anyone else like to do it?
Can we let you know? Can we check our calendars and let you know?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, not a problem.
No, don't worry, don't worry. So, I volunteer. Okay. So we have one volunteer and one maybe,
A potential,
Well-
yes.
a potential yes?
Well, Karen, we'd love to have you, and we will accept another member from the task force. Annette, if you'd like to be on it, we'd love to have you.
Okay, so then Annette can check her calendar and get back to you? Okay, fantastic.
That'd be perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are moving right along to item number 3, regular meeting time and date. Is there a staff report? Lee, did you want to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. I included in your packet tonight, excuse me, let me back up a little bit. Tonight, the task force is discussing a new regular meeting date and time. Since we've gone back in person, we've sort of adjusted that 5 o'clock is not necessarily viable for everybody anymore, doing in-person meetings. So if the task force would like to change their regular meeting date and time tonight, they should provide us some direction, and we'll take the item to council either next week or our first meeting in June for the council to formalize the action, and it'll be effective, your first meeting in June. I included in your packet, there's a very generalized meeting calendar in there. The date that you pick, this room does have to be available. So you've got all of our regular meetings that are in this room and their times on that calendar. Hopefully that can help guide your discussion a little bit.
May I just ask a question? Who wanted to change the meeting time? Was that from the community, or where did that come from? So it seems like we've had just really good attendance at our meetings here, and I know other parents might like this time, just because it's very hard for later times, and I thought it might be good for, generally speaking, historically, I looked at the past 2 years, we've had pretty extraordinary attendance from, I think, the council members and the task force. So I was just curious where this request is coming from.
It sort of initiated with the council. The town council moved their regular meeting times to 5 o'clock when we went into Zoom meetings, and that was sort of more difficult to attend, especially when not offering a Zoom option. And that is usually the case for the community as well. At least that's the feedback that we've heard. When there's no Zoom option, 5 o'clock's a little bit hard to make it to for in-person meetings. So it sort of initiated with the council with changing their regular meeting time, and we're giving you the same option to consider it as well, if you'd like to.
And if I may add, it's
Okay.
not just the meeting time, we're currently second Wednesday of every month, I believe. And now that we're back in person meetings, as you all know, and you'll realize tonight, we conflict with the Planning Commission meeting, which starts at 6:30, the second Wednesday of every month. So we don't want to limit your time, as you saw at the last meeting, and you'll see again tonight. So it's not just the start time, but it's also the frequency or the date we do it on a regular basis.
So,
We functioned this way for the last couple of years, and when we have 1 or 2 meetings that run over, that happens with many of our meetings. So I'm wondering why we are changing
I mean,
Okay,
ultimately, it's
okay.
up to the task force to make the decision. All we're providing you is the information of where the potential conflicts may lay, that's all.
I also,
So, yeah, go ahead, and then I'll make a comment.
Can we make sure folks are using the microphone? Thank you.
Turning it up,
Oh, sorry.
or even turning it on would help. I was just going to suggest, so that we can make some kind of decision about options, that alternative dates be suggested and times.
So I wanted to make a comment about this whole item. So this is in deference to another council member, and unfortunately, he could not be here tonight, and I don't know that we should be making decisions without him, because I don't know what his schedule is at all with respect to days and times, and I think we should make this up for discussion tonight, because I don't know what he could do. So,
I'd also like to add a comment, which is, I think in the past when we've had the Zoom option, we've had a lot more community participation, and I think that's a really important aspect of any Diversity Inclusion Council, to represent the community. And so I'd like to propose that we also consider a Zoom option for this meeting.
well, we will have a Zoom option as of June.
Oh, okay.
That's how it was decided at the council. Is that right, Lee, or am I getting that wrong? I thought that this meeting would go to Zoom in June.
Right now, the direction from the council was Planning Commission, Design Review Board, and Post, just those three, June 1st, but.
Okay, then I think right now I would request through our mayor that we put something on the town council agenda, that this meeting be on Zoom and that it go on the next available agenda. I misunderstood that. I thought we were on Zoom in June. I thought I snuck that in, but maybe it wasn't snuck in. So if we could put that on our agenda, upcoming council agenda, that would be great.
I just have a question. So based on what we received in our packet, do I see that Tuesdays and the first Tuesday of every month, or actually, yeah, it's the second Tuesday of every month is wide open, right? Is that right?
Yes, and in terms of making a recommendation for times, that any of those blank days,
Are
the
available.
first Tuesday,
And then
the
Monday.
second, the first Monday, the first Tuesday, the second Tuesday, the
And then
the
Thursday.
fourth Thursday, those are all good
Open.
options for
Okay.
evening meetings.
Can I do a quick survey, since we tend to be the ones who come here every Wednesday?
But why not Friday night, Lee?
Saturdays?
We can try.
Who here is fine of the members here with the current time setting? Raise your hand.
Okay.
You're going to give us an option for fine-ish?
Perhaps. Super fine. So that looks like, the majority here, but I think it's worth a discussion if there's other times. I think we've only run late, twice in the past 2 years, so it's not too often. But
Yeah, I mean,
welcome to discuss.
I think this is a good discussion. I just, again, I don't want to have it in the absence of, the person that we put it on the agenda for. So, I think it's good for us to talk about it, but I really do want to have the whole council here.
Okay.
If that's okay with the task force members, okay.
I think we should discuss it,
Go
but
ahead, go
I
ahead.
really don't think we should entertain conflicts with a standing commission of the government of the town.
I'd like to, I'm sorry,
ahead.
you done? I was just going to say, let's be sure we know the difference between Jack and Karen. Would you mind switching your nameplates here so we know to whom we're addressing?
I'm sorry.
I love that. You know what? I want to be Jack. Jack, can we switch places right now? So, okay, so I want to, the only thing I want to clarify is that this, the time that we have the meeting right now, if our meeting goes from 5 to 6, I don't believe there is a conflict with the planning commission. So that's the issue. We can't go past 6 o'clock if the meeting were to stay on the same day. So I think everybody should look at their calendars and, offline, we should see what it looks like. And then we can put this on the agenda for when everyone's here, if that is acceptable to this task force. We want full participation, and I don't feel comfortable personally making decisions without knowing that. Is that acceptable? Okay. Then we're going to continue this lead to another date and time, and that will be determined.
I mean, can we just send out a doodle or something? Because at this time, it seems like John will never be here. Like, it doesn't seem like,
No, that's not. I don't want to,
like, how can we discuss it with him if he's never here?
well, he was going to be here tonight.
Oh, okay.
And he was going to be here tonight, so it's on the agenda, and,
But he isn't, so,
But we should.
Yeah.
Jack's point,
well,
let's proceed.
I don't think we're going to proceed because
Yeah, I think
there's-
we should accommodate him if we can.
If we
There are
can,
days
yes.
That are
So-
open.
So,
with no-
excuse me, your suggestion is that we accommodate someone who is not here, but you have a majority of people who are here, who are interested in keeping the meetings as they are. So, clarify that for me, please.
Well, I think
I
right
don't
now.
understand.
I think right now we just want to move it over to the next meeting, so to not decide tonight, so that he can be here and then we can decide together. But in the meantime, look at our calendars and see if Tuesdays work, or Mondays, or Thursday.
And so your
Last
suggestion, excuse me, Karen, your suggestion is that you have a majority of 4 people tonight, but you want to put this off for one other person out of 5.
It's being inclusive of the people
Yeah.
that participate.
Well, I think right now we have like 7, this Wednesday works for 7 out of 8 people. And I think the thought from Jack was if we do a doodle, maybe there's a day that works for 8 out of 8. And if it's less than that, then we just stick with it. It would be my take, but in
So-
the idea of inclusivity, I think it's welcome
those
to
aren't-
do that.
It's not mutually exclusive to think that it works for 4 out of 8 people on a Wednesday, but 8 out of 8 people on a Tuesday, right? Like, just because it works for me tonight doesn't mean it doesn't work for me on a Monday. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's all I was thinking. Anyway.
So again, I would like to put this over to a future meeting and have full participation at that meeting where everyone can discuss it together. So is that
Yes.
acceptable? And that doesn't mean the time's going to change. It doesn't mean the time might change, the time might not change. I don't know what's going to happen at that meeting, but it's just an opportunity to be inclusive of everybody. Okay.
Is it
perfect.
worth doing a doodle
No,
before, in
no.
advance of that meeting?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So moving right along, we can take public comment on that, but I'm not seeing any public comment. And now we're going to move to discussion items. We are going to report on the wonderfully, fantastically successful Norris event. And I just want to say that I am so sorry I missed it. As everybody knows, I was out of town. My daughter competed in nationals for snowboarding.
Wow.
So I had to take her.
Hi, yes, so the event was on April 1st. It was a very rainy week, so I was nearly having a heart attack 3 days before. But we had beautiful weather that day, great participation from the community in Marin County. We're trying to get the approximate number, and we think above 300, according to Chief Gene, and even Greg agreed to that. I brought paper, which... Remember the world of newspaper? We had the front page coverage by our wonderful local small town newspaper, The Arc, and also the Marin Independent Journal organically mentioned it a couple times too, so that was really nice. So I think that helped bring in people from outside. Great community partnerships, obviously, with the Chamber of Commerce, Police Department, Fire Department, Public Works. Everybody really rolled up their sleeves and helped out. We had opening remarks by Belvedere Mayor Lynch and Vice Mayor Fredericks for Tiburon. Fortunately, we didn't get to see you, but there's a chance next year, hopefully. And yeah, a lot of people have been commenting and sending kind emails and also already talking about next year, so we'll see about that. But yeah, overall, I think it was a great thing to do. It brought a nice spotlight on our town once again, so I think it's worth thinking about these events, maybe even a calendar for the year of when we want to host it versus participate in other nearby cities' cultural events. I think that's it.
Nushin, I just want to say you did an absolutely wonderful job. You know, I was talking to Deanne Biz, Chamber of Commerce, who said you were absolutely wonderful to work with.
Yes.
And I think what was especially awesome is you were able to bring in the Persian community from Tiburon as well to be actively involved. And it's great to see like support for this event because feedback from, you know, I talked to everybody, you know, I was there. It was great to see the dancing and just the fun, festive mood. But feedback was it was a great celebration. And and people were like, wow, Tiburon are doing these celebrations. It's building this sense of warmth and invitingness that I think we want to do as a task force. So awesome job.
Thank you.
I'll just add that I think beyond the Persian community, you also brought out a lot of the underrepresented community. And so I think just building on that momentum and a plan going forward would be great. So congratulations.
And thank you for the template with Diwali.
I just wanted to add on to that. I heard amazing things. I saw the photos. I was so proud of everything that was accomplished that day. So thank you so much. And just to remind everyone that Nushin did this before she was even on the task force. And she did it just as a volunteer. So now that you're on the task force, we expect at least 3 events a year.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. But thank you. Thank you for all your work. And Alice.
You know, I just want to make one comment that thanks to you, some very large man from Iran hugged me in the parking lot, and I had to tell him that I was not the one who organized it.
Well, thank you all for the support from the task force and the town council and everybody who's involved in our city civic government.
Okay. And I don't think there's public comment. I don't see anyone. So now we can go into a discussion of future events, which can include Juneteenth. It can include other events. Is there anyone that would like to report on that?
I'll just give you a brief update on Juneteenth since Annette and I have been meeting on this. It's looking great. It's going to be a great event. I think it's going to have a pretty unique turnout just because we're sort of coming in at the tail end of the car show, so it gives people a double excuse to come out. And I think it'll be great for folks to see that not only do very expensive, rich car shows, but we can also do a Juneteenth event. And it should be good. Should be fun.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to talk about anything?
Well, let me
Ideas?
just
Please, go ahead.
briefly again mention that the council really needs to think about a policy for the closure of Main Street for any event. I know there are future ideas from this group for events, and there are other people in the community talking about events. And the chamber has their own interest because closing the street really began to promote business in downtown. So we need to have some policy that recognizes everybody's needs to the best we can, and also a recognition of other venues. I mean, there's Belvedere Park, there's the plaza out here. They're not quite as easy for people to figure out where it is as Main Street, but I think the council needs to talk about it with input from this committee on how we can accommodate everyone when the chamber is asking for a maximum of 6 closures a year, 3 of them for the chamber.
Okay, so that is definitely something we can put on the agenda here, if you'd like us to.
I think it's a
Vice Mayor
council
Wellman?
decision.
I mean, Vice Mayor Fredericks. See, everyone's switching
Alice.
name tags that I was
Alice.
trying to be formal, you see.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Alice is much easier. So we can put that on the agenda to have a discussion
We
here?
can have one here. Ultimately, the council will make the decision.
Of course, of course. I just was trying to figure out what you were asking
But the
for.
sooner the better. I was thinking since it's been kicking around so long, we should just recommend the council take it up even today.
So it's not on the agenda. I see our town attorney shaking her head no. So that's why I was saying I'm
Well, it's
happy
future- oh, I see.
to
It's
put
not
it
an
on the
action.
agenda
Oh.
for a future meeting, which is why I said that.
Okay, thank you. That's right. I saw events. and
I know,
thought we
I
could
know.
do that.
I
but it's
know.
Discussion.
We could, except our town attorney's here and won't let
Okay.
us. So.
But
anyway,
I should
I'm
remind.
just kidding. I'm
I
just
should remind the committee that the council can take it up on their own.
Okay, okay.
But I think to the, oh, go ahead.
So
To the
let's,
extent, I want to just reiterate what I said at a different meeting, another meeting when this was brought up, that just keep in mind that I don't think it's that many events, and, you know, what, we're not talking about.
so here's what I have to do, which this is part of my job I hate.
Sorry.
So since it's not on the agenda, we can't actually discuss the closure of Main Street, but we can discuss future events. And if a future event, you know, happened to request things, we could talk about that. But right now, we're on the agenda item and the discussion of events, discussion of future events. And I will put this on the agenda for a future meeting so that it can be discussed, because it has come up a few times, and Alice is correct. There needs to be some kind of a policy so that we know what we're doing.
I'd like to suggest, I'm really excited we're doing a celebration of Juneteenth again. It would be great to celebrate the Latino Hispanic community, given the size of that population, and September, October is Hispanic Heritage Month.
As well as Asian and
Pacific
South
Islander.
Pacific Islander, right, appreciation.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, and I would have to second that. A lot of the members of the community have asked me why we're not doing Latin American celebration, especially with a lot of the workers downtown have been asking me, like, it'd be great to have that. But what we need is another Nushin to step up, what we call an event champion who's willing to step up and lead the way. So if we can spread the word and see if there's anybody within Tiburon willing to do that wants to be a leader, I think there's support, at least here, to maybe move that forward.
It's a great idea. Really, it is. It is. So
I'm not an event planner.
I'm not looking at you, believe me. I'm not. I'm just looking around to see if anyone catches my eye and volunteers, so that's what I'm doing.
I just want to say that Deanne Biss has created the ultimate checklist template, AKA Microsoft project version, with every list of the vendor, what you need to do on a timeline. I've been using it. It's terrific. So that may be some support for others if anyone wants to be a champion. So, and you have some other people who've thrown some events here. So if anyone wants to take the lead, let us know.
So if you could share that with the committee, I think that would be fantastic. Maybe that will prompt someone to say, look at how easy it is. I just follow the checklist
You don't need
and
it.
it's done. So do we have other events that we'd like to discuss at the moment? Anyone? It's not your last opportunity, but please go ahead, Annette.
If we're looking at events, C, we forgot one that is not on the agenda, but that I would like to bring to the attention of the council and the task force. Let's not forget, I'm getting a laugh. Let's not forget, this is an important event. We have this game tonight, so don't forget.
Don't forget the Fallen Warriors.
Yes, so for those of you listening, because there is no Zoom right now, unfortunately, Annette Harris was holding up a Warriors shirt and showing it to everyone, and everyone was laughing because that's the event she's talking about tonight, because the Warriors are playing, and we promised.
Victory.
Yes, we're hoping for that, Annette. We are hoping, but it's not on the agenda, so. Okay, so I don't see any public comment, so I'm going to move right along to update on the DEI strategic plan, and I'm not sure who would like to present on this.
I think I'll start, and maybe the
Perfect.
other ad hoc committee members will chime in. So as many of you know, at the last meeting, we talked about forming an ad hoc committee to put a strategic plan together for the near term, and we'd like to review 5 points. One is, who are the members, what is the purpose, operations of the committee itself, our initial ideas for input from this group, and then next steps. And I don't know who's driving the presentation, but we'll just go to the next page in terms of the ad hoc committee members. Include Karen Carrera, Alice Fredericks, Nusheen Latour, and myself. Perfect. Okay. And the purpose that we've established is to really develop a 2-year strategic plan for the Town of Tiburon Diversity Inclusion Task Force, so limited to specifically what is the purpose of this task force in terms of strategic planning for this 2-year period. And if we move next to the operations, we've been meeting every other week as a working committee, and our goal is to present monthly updates to this particular task force and to solicit input from the Diversity Inclusion Task Force. We are drafting a strategic plan, including a problem statement, goals, and metrics. And thereafter, we would formulate a resourcing needs and budget request for the town council, and this would be for approval by the town council. Maybe I'd pass it to one of our other ad hoc committee members to talk about the strategic pillars.
May I just say a word about the process, just so we're all on the same page. So this is a proposed strategic plan to bring back to you, to add to eliminate, if you wish. And the purpose of it is to connect values, goals with implementation and desired outcomes. And I can hear Annette on my right saying metrics, yes. So when it's brought to you, modify if needed, approve, and basically you're going to send it to the town council for approval, and it will support, as Tina said, any requests for resources and budgeting needs, and give the councils, give the staff a chance to look ahead for the kind of information you might need instead of discussing something, asking for data, and having it come back again. And it's consistent with our general plan's diversity element. And having said that, I'm going to turn it over to Karen because she is our organizer, thought police.
Well, I took a stab at the first draft.
Your
but-
mic, is your mic on?
Oh.
Okay. Oops.
It's on. It is, right? Can you hear me? So yes, we took a stab at the first draft, and one of the things that we're trying to do is provide advice to the town council, right? The town manager and the police chief regarding issues of diversity and inclusion involving the police force, but also providing advice to the town council regarding how to improve diversity and inclusion in the town of Tiburon as well. So basically we have a set of just looking at goals. So for example, one of the first things we're doing is one of the strategic issues is creating a bias-free policing, developing diverse and inclusive staffing policies and practices, including for recruitment, hiring, talent development, promotion, and retention, including the police department. Another pillar is creating DE&I-centered community engagement and education, including cultural events. So those are the main pillars, or the main areas, strategic issues that we're going to tackle. And then within each of those, then we're going to have, I'm not following this exactly because we kind of amended this a little bit, but we'll just go to the next one, community. So, for example, under community engagement and education, we came up with some goals, such as a homeowner summit, social events for all neighborhoods, including underrepresented populations, which we are doing already, right? And DEI communications through Tiburon Talk and the town website, exploring language and accessibility barriers, doing surveys of community members, including underrepresented populations, engagement of broader community stakeholders in these meetings, DITF meetings, leveraging the DITF to assist town staff and local government in decision-making processes. So this was inspired, by the way, from by the general plan. Then if we go to the next slide, we would also like to, again, these are just some goals, do a policies and practices analysis, introduction to DEI training for staff and boards, workshops for educating potential candidates, creating a list of BIPOC candidates for town governance roles, partnering with schools to create a diverse pipeline, and the enablement of equitable policies for recruiting, development and retention of diverse services staff. So those are just some of the goals. Next slide is about police department and policing analysis. We want promotion, one of the goals is promotion of engagement with police department and support efforts to meet with community. So, for instance, we started drafting, this is not in the slides, but we started drafting some of the goals, for example, for building a diverse police force. And so, again, this is not in the slides, this is in my copy of the draft. For instance, we want to have better training, and I talked to Police Chief Jean about this as well, and we were going to have additional talks with her. But training, best practices, how do you measure bias, data collection and analysis, and then recruitment, hiring, promotions, etc. So basically for each goal that we have in our strategic plan, in the proposed strategic plan, we then have, we flesh out all these goals, and then we provide success metrics for each of these goals. So we will report back to you in a month with more updates.
And I think, in addition to that, the ideas that Karen has just enlisted, we wanted to get this task force's input on. What do you like? What don't you like? What's missing during this meeting?
So I wanted to now, I want to start by thanking Karen, Alice, Nushin, and Tina. This is a lot of work, and I know it's ongoing and that we're going to get another draft. So if we could take some comments now, and then this is not the last opportunity. And then after that, I do not see any public comment. So there's no one in line tonight. What I'd like to do is take some quick comments on this, and then we'll move to our last item.
Well, I think this is a terrific framework that's much needed, and I think, over time we'll build this to be even better. Just some quick feedback, if you like, in the interest of time. Engaging with under community engagement and education. Homeowners Summit is terrific, and I think we have to sort of maybe figure out a strategy to engage the Hillerita. Oftentimes they feel disenfranchised. I don't think by coincidence it's across from the police department historically. Second thing is under staffing policies and practice analyses, not to be in violation of non-affirmative action programs, but it says, I would say, potential prospect list, creation of BIPOC resources for town governance roles. I met with some of the council members of Belvedere, and they have resources that can help streamline these candidates without violating certain policies. And then for policing, we're probably going to get that soon enough. But I think what would be terrific is helping look at the data that we want that's important to the community. When we look at the REPA data, is there a way to try to personalize it? Because when you look at it, one of the things that I often look at is, was that person pulled over because their car was really old, or was it because it was a person of color? And I think until you look at the data and make sure we have all the valuable inputs, we're really not going to know. And so that would be something that I would add in this framework moving forward.
Ruben, could you elaborate on what you said about violating potential policies for resources for BIPOC candidates?
I was told that you can't necessarily recruit someone solely basis on their color and race. And so, but there are apparently resources that can help attract and streamline candidates of desire, maybe be BIPOC candidates towards. It was just the wording of it for that.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I wanted to just expand upon one thing that Ruben said. I think adding in the Hillary does great, but also just renters in general. We do have a population of renters here in Tiburon. So maybe a renters Hillary Summit, or I don't know, however we could do that. And I did want to kind of make an overall comment that, you know, we started this diversity inclusion task force with kind of a general framework, and we've accomplished so much with just the general framework that now I think with the strategic plan is something we've all been wanting and looking forward to, and I think it's really going to help us to plan for the future of this task force and accomplish more great things. Do we have any follow-up comments? And remember, this is not your last time. You have multiple times to make comments. Anyone else? I'm not seeing any public comment, but okay, then I'm going to now move on to discussion on the structure and timing of the Police Citizens Advisory Panel, which is a very exciting item. And I'm going to ask Chief Jean if she'd like to give a presentation.
Yes, I would. I think we've been talking about this formulation of the Citizens Advisory Panel for quite a while. Since I've been employed with the police department, I was working on a manual. We've presented the draft edition to you, and just would like to provide a little oversight into timelines, some of the structure of the manual, and take any questions if we have them, okay?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to first take any questions, and I'm not seeing any public comments. Is there anyone on? There's no one online. So let's go to any questions.
Well, I have a couple slides I'd like to present to you.
Perfect. Go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Ready? Okay. The purpose and the scope of the Citizen Advisory Panel is to provide a forum for police community engagement, address public safety and related issues to further enhance the quality of life for all in our community. We have started with the wrong panel, didn't we? No, we did not. Sorry, my apology. We're looking at a timeline for the initial meeting of the panel. We're expecting it to be held in July or August. Why we're saying July or August, we're looking for input from the community who wants to be on the panel. And we're also looking for a member of the Diversity Task Force to be a part of this panel. And the Citizens Advisory Panel Manual, that's a mouthful. The goal of the Citizens Advisory Panel Manual is to provide direction, guidelines, and clearly define roles for members of the panel. Ruben and I were talking ahead of the meeting, and he was asking me what were some of the guidelines that we used to put this manual together. So we have three parts that was developed from this. So the first was developed from the guidelines set forth in the 2021 YEMA settlement agreement, which was approved by the council. Input was provided by the U.S. Department of Justice, the DOJ, and also from the San Francisco Police Department's Community Advisory Board Manual. I ran a Community Police Advisory Board for 3 years when I was the captain at Richmond Station, so I'm familiar with the manual and I'm familiar with the community advisory panels. The mission of the panel is to serve as a resource for the chief of police in the formation of strategies, assist in the development of community policing concepts, and increase public awareness regarding the Tiburon Police Department's policies and procedures. The participation from the task force. The membership of the panel should include one member from the task force recommended by the chair at the June Diversity and Task Force meeting. So we're looking for the input of all of you members to elect someone for the next meeting that we had in June. And then we have questions. Also, if you weren't provided this, because I put this together today, if you would like a copy of it, we'll make sure everybody gets a copy of it.
Okay, great. Do we have any questions at the moment?
I have a question. Thank you for putting this together. I think it's terrific to have the community representation. I'm curious how often this committee will meet and
Quarterly meetings?
Quarterly.
I'm sorry, quarterly meetings?
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you for bringing this forward. Just a couple of questions, and maybe based on your own experience, I noticed that it says that the meetings are passive meetings where the audience doesn't necessarily participate, meaning the public. Is that something you guys also did in San Francisco, and was that worthwhile, or did you get some, criticism from folks who maybe wanted to talk about active issues?
Usually what would occur is the people that are on the panel would discuss it with other members of the community and bring it to the panel's advice and also to my advice. The passive meetings were basically held. You have to be a member of the panel to have a discussion during the panel.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? So from your past experience, what was it like in Richmond? What were the challenges for having such panel or successes from it?
It was very successful. We had great communication within the diversity of the panel. We selected members from each part of the Richmond district, which is 90,000 residents. So we had everybody from every corner of the Richmond district. Their input and insight was always taken to heart. We implemented a lot of stuff into our policies and procedures. The community engagement from them was fabulous. They participated in the National Night Out, and we got together as a collective group to put that National Night on. Anytime I had a coffee with a cop, any type of function that I was involved in, I invited all the task force members, the advisory panel to be a part of that. Really good working relationship, and that's what I'm looking for, is the collaboration and great working relationship with the panel and with the diversity task force.
Thanks for sharing.
Well, we included the information and with the settle agreement from the 2021 Yuma settlement. And I'm not sure if I understand the rest of the question. That was imported into the manual, and moving forward, obviously, we're going to address any issues that we feel that are important as a task force and as an advisory panel with the issues inside of Tiburon. I feel definitely confident in the fact that I've received the information that I needed, and I look forward to working on this Citizens Advisory Panel and working with the task force. I think we can do a lot of good for the town of Tiburon, and I look forward to collaborating with all of you.
Do we have more questions?
Just one more question. I like the variety of the CAP selection where you're getting different residents from, Tiburon, the business community, local education, police association. And I like a diversity of opinion because I think it's great. The one question I had is, obviously, I think we want to try to attract as many community members as possible, and maybe even some vocal ones that sometimes post on Nextdoor. So the question that I had was, I know that some people will post on Nextdoor, but on here it says, members who join this team will be required to read TPD policy 321, 323, 806, and adhere to them. Can you share those policies so that we could make sure that it doesn't preclude candidates who may be vocal on Nextdoor or whatever social media?
I don't have those policies with me.
Or just at a future date is fine.
Definitely.
Email
Not
us
a
out.
problem at all.
Okay, do we have any more questions or discussion? We have our town attorney, yes.
The terms of the settlement put the discretion of choosing the task force member with the chair. So everyone here can recommend who they might want to be on the task force or the CAP, but the chair is sort of the one who, under the settlement agreement, has the discretion to make that final choice. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear as we discussed who would be on the CAP. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. And I just wanted to start off by saying thank you so much. This is a long time in coming, and I think that the Citizens Advisory Panel is going to really formalize a process of the community being involved in policing and the exchange of information back and forth and representation by the task force and diversity and inclusion task force on the CAP. So it's a very exciting thing to see in print and happening. And I think now we go to opportunity for applicants. So I think people that are interested can make that known, but they can also make it known later. You don't have to say it out loud now, but if you are interested in being a member of the Police Citizens Advisory Panel representing the Diversity Inclusion Task Force, you could say something now or say something later.
Can we also nominate people?
That was a big bomb, so I don't know.
I'd like to nominate Karen Carrera.
Okay.
Well, I would, thank you.
I would second that motion.
Well, I just, if I could just, I just want to be clear, it's perfectly fine to discuss this tonight. We did not agendize this as an action item.
Okay.
And we plan to bring this back to the next DITF meeting. We wanted to introduce this to you and give you some time to think about it. We recognize the manual is somewhat detailed and wanted everybody just to get a chance to talk about it, ask any questions.
Okay.
It's perfectly fine to discuss that now, but we are going to bring
Yeah.
it back at the next
Okay.
meeting as an action item.
Okay, it does say opportunity for applicants, so I'm honoring the agenda, and if anybody wants to make it known now, you can. And if not, you
Yeah,
don't
I'm-
have to.
Because I just want to respond, thank you. I think that because the momentum is going and this is, I think it's amazing that Chief Jean, just like a few months into her tenure, even though it took 2 years for and nothing happened, and then here you come on board and you draft the manual, and we now have a Citizens Advisory Panel, or we are going to have one very soon. I think it's wonderful, and I accept the nomination.
Okay, and I may or may not appoint her, so, I don't know. What have you, okay, anyway, so moving right along, it is now 5:57, and I think that we are at the end of our agenda, and that if there's no other public comment, we could probably adjourn now. Thank you, everybody, and I think, Greg, do you have a comment, or?
Just that I'm very impressed. It's 6 o'clock, and thank you very much. We have some work to do between now and 6:30. So
We
thank you.
always do it at 6 o'clock, what?
So Karen,